If you order mackerel today, you probably expect something very specific: a thick, sizzling fillet, dripping with rich oils, sitting at the center of a classic set meal. But our collective craving for this exact flavor profile is a relatively recent invention. It actually traces back to a highly calculated Norwegian marketing campaign that targeted Japanese consumers in the 1980s. Initially, Japanese buyers wanted nothing to do with the Norwegian imports. The local palate preferred a delicate, leaner fish. The Norwegian mackerel, by contrast, spent months in a freezer and arrived with a massive 30% fat content that locals found incredibly off-putting. To fix this, a Norwegian businessman hired by the government realized that heavy layer of fat was highly useful in one specific scenario. This diagram shows heating a lean versus fatty fish in a microwave. The fat acts as a thermal shield, locking moisture inside. This durability made it perfect for convenience store bento boxes. This chart maps the explosion: millions of cheap fillets flooding the mass market. Millions of students grew up eating those bento boxes. Over decades, that exposure rewired the public's taste buds. The marketing campaign effectively formatted a global palate, causing us to largely forget the crisp, complex flavor of the original, leaner mackerel. To understand what we are missing, we have to look back 55 million years. Most fish use a swim bladder to float and rest. The mackerel threw theirs away. It evolved into a biological fighter jet, built entirely for deep-sea speed and sudden vertical dives. Without that flotation device, a mackerel will sink to the crushing depths of the ocean floor the moment it stops moving. So it never stops. Its entire body functions essentially as a single continuously beating heart, pumping through the water from birth until death. Powering an engine like that in the freezing, dark ocean requires specific fuel. This cross-section shows the mackerel's muscle tissue heavily saturated with DHA, a pure, unsaturated fat. The fish packs its body with this molecule to lubricate its nervous system and act as a biological antifreeze, so its blood. Operating at this extreme rate, it also requires hyperactive enzymes to constantly repair cellular damage. But the second the fish is pulled from the water and its brain dies, those supercharged enzymes lose their targeting system. They immediately turn around and begin attacking the fish's own DHA-rich tissue. The Japanese actually have a specific term for this: ikigusare, or rotting while alive. The fish literally begins to digest itself, turning putrid in a matter of hours. 60% of the human brain's dry weight is fat, and DHA is its primary building block, a nutrient our bodies struggle to synthesize on their own. By harvesting these high-speed fish along ancient coastlines, our ancestors secured the concentrated fuel necessary for the rapid expansion of the cerebral cortex. They had to bypass the fish's self-destruct mechanism to unlock the very fuel that built modern civilization. The solution appeared independently across the ancient world. Civilizations separated by thousands of miles realized they could halt the rotting process by burying the fresh catch in extreme amounts of salt. In the Mediterranean, Romans harnessed the mackerel's enzymes to ferment the fish into a clear, amber liquid called garum. It was an intensely savory fish sauce, stored in these clay amphorae, becoming so valuable it was traded like currency among the empire's elite. Meanwhile, in ancient China, chefs were operating on a massive industrial scale. They packed local lean mackerel into rows of giant fermentation vats, using heavy salt to let the fish's highly active enzymes safely break down toxins and extract deep, rich umami flavors. When Emperor Wu of Han eventually monopolized the salt and iron trades, citizens couldn't afford the ingredients for this fermented fish paste, so they swapped the mackerel for soybeans and wheat, mimicking the exact same fermentation process. That workaround gave us modern soy sauce. Because the mackerel discarded its swim bladder 55 million years ago, humanity was forced to develop extreme preservation methods. In doing so, we accidentally laid the foundation for some of the most important flavor profiles in global cooking. Today, that culinary ingenuity has largely been replaced by brute force. Massive, coordinated fleets equipped with sonar and multi-kilometer nets sweep the oceans, treating the mackerel not as a delicate source of nutrition, but as a bulk commodity. In the East China Sea, the pressure from these industrial hauls is actively forcing the native lean mackerel to evolve backward. To avoid extinction, the species is reproducing earlier, shrinking its average body size from 35 centimeters down to less than 20. The situation is even more dire off the coast of West Africa. Here, local communities relying on traditional wooden boats are completely outmatched by foreign megatrawlers vacuuming up their native, high-quality mackerel. The vast majority of that African catch isn't feeding the local population. Instead, it is ground up into cheap fish meal, exported, and fed to farmed salmon in Europe, a cycle of extraction that is actively triggering severe protein famines across West Africa. One of the most biologically advanced, nutritionally dense organisms in the ocean has been stripped of its historical reverence. We have taken the fish that helped build the human brain and reduced it to a destructive, bottom-tier industrial filler. But you don't need a massive commercial fleet or an expensive imported fillet to understand the mackerel's true value. You can bypass the fatty Norwegian commodity entirely with a staple found in every grocery store, a simple tin of lean mackerel in tomato sauce. Canning the fresh catch immediately stops the auto-digestion process, but the tomato sauce does the real heavy lifting. Its natural acidity instantly neutralizes the alkaline amines, the specific chemical compounds that give rotting fish that harsh, distinct smell. That leaves room for a powerful chemical collision. The amino acids from the lean fish lock perfectly into the glutamic acid of the tomatoes. When these compounds meet, the reaction doesn't just add their flavors together, it multiplies umami signals sent to your brain by a factor of 8. This simple tin provides a way to taste 55 million years of evolutionary biology. It stops the rapid cycle of self-digestion and delivers the same concentrated nutrients that once drove the development of the human mind.